When Socrates declared, "The unexamined life is not worth living," he was not offering a casual remark. He was making one of the most profound statements in the history of philosophy. These words were spoken during his trial in Athens, around 399 BCE, when he was accused of corrupting the youth and disrespecting the gods of the city. Rather than pleading for his life, Socrates used this moment to defend his way of living, a life built on questioning, examining, and seeking truth. To understand the depth of this statement, we must ask, what does it mean to examine life? Why would a life without reflection be considered unworthy? And how can we, as modern men and women, apply this wisdom to our own existence? This video will guide you through a journey of reflection, breaking down Socrates' message into clear insights that can shape a powerful and purposeful life. The context of Socrates' statement, the setting of the quote, is essential. Socrates was facing death. Instead of fearing it, he embraced truth. He believed that life itself is not measured by how long it lasts or how comfortable it is, but by whether it is examined, questioned, and lived with integrity. For Socrates, examination meant engaging in dialogue, challenging assumptions, and never settling for ignorance. This is the foundation of philosophy. Philosophy is not merely abstract thinking. It is the act of questioning. Why do I live the way I live? What is justice? What is good? What is the purpose of existence? Socrates lived as a relentless seeker of such answers. And he taught that without this pursuit, human beings fall into a passive existence, drifting through life without direction or meaning. Why the unexamined life is not worth living. At first, the statement may sound extreme. After all, many people live without deeply questioning themselves, yet they still experience joy, family, and work. But Socrates' standard is higher. He argues that without self-examination, we are not truly living as rational, conscious beings. We are merely surviving. Think of it this way: an unexamined life may accumulate wealth, fame, or pleasure, but without reflection, these achievements are hollow. They cannot give lasting meaning. Examination allows us to understand ourselves, to confront our weaknesses, to recognize our values, and to align our actions with truth. Only then does life gain depth and worth. Practical applications for us today: daily reflection. Spend time each day reviewing your actions. Ask, did I act with integrity? Did I follow my values? Where did I fail, and what can I improve tomorrow? Questioning assumptions. Much of what we believe comes from culture, family, or media. Socratic living means not accepting these blindly, but testing them through reason, seeking purpose beyond comfort. Modern life often tempts us with distractions: social media, consumption, entertainment. Socrates reminds us that true fulfillment comes not from avoiding discomfort, but from facing truth, however painful, engaging in dialogue. For Socrates, examination was a social act. He questioned others and welcomed being questioned. Likewise, we should seek conversations that challenge us, not only those that affirm us. From philosophy to daily life, Socrates' famous statement, "The unexamined life is not worth living," might appear at first to belong only to philosophers or intellectuals. Yet this wisdom is practical. It applies not only in classrooms or ancient debates but also in the workplace, in families, and in personal struggles. Examination does not require us to abandon daily responsibilities. Instead, it helps us carry them with purpose. A father who reflects on his role becomes more intentional in guiding his children. A worker who examines his motives finds dignity even in routine tasks. A leader who questions his own decisions acts with fairness rather than arrogance. Thus, philosophy is not separate from life. It is the framework that gives life meaning. Without reflection, our actions become mechanical. With reflection, they become meaningful. Self-examination in work and career. In modern culture, many chase careers for money, status, or recognition. Yet without examining why, such pursuits may lead to emptiness. How many professionals spend decades climbing a ladder, only to realize the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall? Examination in career means asking, am I working only for survival, or for a purpose? Does this job align with my values? Am I sacrificing my integrity for comfort? This does not mean everyone must change jobs. Rather, it means seeing one's work through the lens of purpose. Even ordinary labor can become meaningful when connected to values of service, discipline, or growth. Examination transforms work from a burden into a calling. Socrates' legacy and the bridge to Stoicism. Socrates never wrote a single book. His philosophy lives on through the writings of his students, most famously Plato. Yet his central idea, that the examined life is the only life worth living, influenced countless traditions, especially Stoicism. The Stoics, such as Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, inherited this Socratic spirit. They too believed in self-examination as the key to freedom. For the Stoics, reflection was not an abstract activity. It was a daily discipline. Epictetus urged his students to ask themselves every evening, what did I do well today? What did I do wrong? What duty did I neglect? This echoes Socrates' call for examination. Seneca, in his letters, emphasized the importance of reviewing one's actions with honesty, not as self-punishment but as self-mastery. And Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, filled his meditations with examinations of his own thoughts, reminding himself to live with virtue. In all these examples, the unexamined life was not only unworthy, it was dangerous. It led to weakness, self-deception, and wasted potential. Modern parallels, psychology and self-awareness. Interestingly, modern psychology confirms what Socrates taught 2,400 years ago. Research shows that self-awareness is a core component of emotional intelligence. People who regularly reflect on their thoughts and behaviors make better decisions, build stronger relationships, and experience greater satisfaction in life. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, one of the most effective modern therapies, is essentially a structured way of examining life. It asks individuals to challenge automatic thoughts, to test their beliefs, and to replace harmful patterns with rational ones. This is Socratic questioning reborn in modern science. Yet, despite this wisdom, many people avoid reflection. Why? Because examination can be uncomfortable. Looking honestly at our flaws, fears, and failures is painful. But as Socrates and the Stoics remind us, the pain of truth is far more valuable than the comfort of illusion. The cost of the unexamined life in today's world. Let us consider our modern environment. We live in a time of constant distraction, endless notifications, social media feeds, and instant entertainment. These tools, while useful, often lead to shallow living. We scroll for hours but rarely reflect for minutes. An unexamined modern life might look like this: working endlessly for money without asking what the money is truly for, chasing recognition online without asking whether it brings real fulfillment, consuming opinions without asking whether they are true or useful. In such a world, Socrates' warning is more urgent than ever. A life without reflection becomes a life controlled by others, by algorithms, trends, and the expectations of society. Examination is the only way to reclaim our freedom. Practical exercises for examination. To bring Socratic wisdom into our lives, we can practice simple but powerful habits. Journaling. Spend 10 minutes daily writing down your thoughts, emotions, and actions. This transforms vague feelings into clear insights. Socratic questioning. When facing a problem, ask yourself, what evidence do I have? What assumptions am I making? What would be the consequences if I am wrong? Evening review, inspired by the Stoics. Before bed, reflect on the day. Not to judge harshly, but to learn. Digital fasting. Step away from distractions regularly. Use that time to think, read, or simply sit in silence. Examination requires space, dialogue with others. Seek honest conversations with friends who challenge you. Not only those who agree with you. The courage to live with integrity. Examination is not merely intellectual, it demands action. Once we recognize the truth, we must live by it. If we discover that our job, habits, or relationships are misaligned with our values, change becomes necessary. This requires courage. Socrates chose death over betrayal of his principles. Marcus Aurelius chose duty over personal comfort. Seneca reminded us that life is short, and wasted time is the greatest loss. In every case, examination led to integrity, and integrity gave life its worth. The universal relevance of Socrates' teaching. Some may argue that philosophy is abstract or outdated. But ask yourself, can any human being live meaningfully without reflection? without asking, "Who am I? What am I doing? Why does it matter?" These questions are timeless. Whether you are a business leader, a worker, a parent, or a student, examination shapes your destiny. It is not about being a philosopher in a classroom. It is about being a philosopher in your own life, aware, intentional, and courageous. Socrates' claim is not just a sentence in a history book. It is a daily challenge. Every morning, we are asked, will I live examined or unexamined? Will I drift through life passively, or will I live with awareness, purpose, and truth? The examined life may be difficult, but it is the only path to true freedom. In the final part of this video, we will explore how you can integrate this wisdom into long-term practices, creating not only moments of reflection but a lifelong journey toward meaning and power. From philosophy to daily life, Socrates' famous statement, "The unexamined life is not worth living," might appear at first to belong only to philosophers or intellectuals. Yet this wisdom is practical. It applies not only in classrooms or ancient debates but also in the workplace, in families, and in personal struggles. Examination does not require us to abandon daily responsibilities. Instead, it helps us carry them with purpose. A father who reflects on his role becomes more intentional in guiding his children. A worker who examines his motives finds dignity even in routine tasks. A leader who questions his own decisions acts with fairness rather than arrogance. Thus, philosophy is not separate from life. It is the framework that gives life meaning. Without reflection, our actions become mechanical. With reflection, they become meaningful. Self-examination in work and career. In modern culture, many chase careers for money, status, or recognition. Yet without examining why, such pursuits may lead to emptiness. How many professionals spend decades climbing a ladder, only to realize the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall? Examination in career means asking, am I working only for survival, or for a purpose? Does this job align with my values? Am I sacrificing my integrity for comfort? This does not mean everyone must change jobs. Rather, it means seeing one's work through the lens of purpose. Even ordinary labor can become meaningful when connected to values of service, discipline, or growth. Examination transforms work from a burden into a calling. Self-examination in relationships. Human relationships are another arena where unexamined living causes pain. Many people repeat patterns inherited from childhood or society without reflection. They choose partners for shallow reasons, or they maintain toxic relationships out of fear. Socrates' wisdom invites us to examine our relationships. Do I love this person for who they are, or for what I gain? Am I honest and authentic, or am I wearing masks? Do my friendships make me better, or do they drag me down? The examined relationship is built on truth and respect, not on illusion. Such honesty may cause discomfort, but it also opens the possibility of genuine love and friendship. Self-examination in solitude. modern life rarely allows solitude. Many fear silence, filling every moment with noise. Yet without moments of solitude, examination is impossible. Socrates often walked the streets of Athens, engaging in dialogue, but he also valued quiet reflection. Today, solitude can mean turning off devices, stepping outside, or simply sitting still. In silence, we encounter ourselves. We see our thoughts clearly. We notice whether our lives align with our values. To live examined means to embrace solitude, not as loneliness, but as a meeting with one's true self, facing mortality. Perhaps the deepest reason Socrates claimed the unexamined life is not worth living lies in his acceptance of death. He was not afraid to die because he had examined life. He knew what mattered and what did not. For us, reflection also prepares us for mortality. To ignore death is to live superficially. To face it is to live deeply. Examination teaches us to ask, if my life ended tomorrow, would I be at peace with how I live today? Such reflection does not lead to despair but to urgency. It reminds us that time is limited, and therefore precious. It pushes us to live with courage and authenticity. The danger of the crowd. Another lesson from Socrates is the danger of living unexamined in the crowd. Many people follow the majority without question. They conform to opinions, trends, and ideologies simply because they are popular. But Socrates warns us, the majority is not always right. To live examined is to resist blind conformity. It means standing alone if necessary. Socrates himself stood against Athens, and though he lost his life, he preserved his integrity. In our time, this may mean questioning political slogans, advertising messages, or social media trends. The examined life is independent. It seeks truth, not approval, building habits of reflection for a lifetime. How can we transform Socratic wisdom into lasting habits? Here are some practices. Morning intention. Begin the day with a question. What kind of person will I be today? This sets a tone of awareness. Midday pause. Stop for 5 minutes during work. Ask, am I living with integrity right now? Evening review. As the Stoics did, examine your day honestly. Weekly deep reflection. Once a week, step back. Ask the bigger questions. Am I living the life I want? Am I aligned with my values? Philosophical reading. Engage with texts from Socrates, Stoics, or modern thinkers. Let them challenge and sharpen you. The danger of the crowd. Another lesson from Socrates is the danger of living unexamined in the crowd. Many people follow the majority without question. They conform to opinions, trends, and ideologies simply because they are popular. But Socrates warns us, the majority is not always right. To live examined is to resist blind conformity. It means standing alone if necessary. Socrates himself stood against Athens, and though he lost his life, he preserved his integrity. In our time, this may mean questioning political slogans, advertising messages, or social media trends. The examined life is independent. It seeks truth, not approval. Final call to action: the unexamined life is not worth living. This is not merely a quote to admire. It is a challenge, a demand, a call to wake up. If you have listened to this far, do not let these words remain theory. Begin today. Reflect on your choices. Question your assumptions. Align your actions with your values. Examination may be difficult. It may require courage. But the reward is immense: a life of integrity, freedom, and purpose. Socrates gave his life for this truth. The question now is, will you give your life to live it?